Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I hope you've had a lovely day so far and that your night was just as good. We've got a lot of tidbits to get through today. We're going to go through a couple of articles. We're going to go through a couple of tweets. We're going to go through some of the presentation yesterday from the president's defense team. And we're also going to catch up on some stories that we've covered in the last couple of days. Too many to mention, but I just want to let you know that it is going to be an excellent episode today. So please, everyone, do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. A famous movie villain once said, "Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos." Well, rarely in history have truer words been spoken, and history has demonstrated this repeatedly. Whether it's a stock market crash, a tea attack, the power goes off longer than you've expected. All of these things happen without warning, and when it's breaking news, it's too late to prepare, and you're in a panicked scramble. Now, to avoid the chaos, there's a few things you should do, one in particular, but build an emergency food supply. I personally trust and use my Patriot Supply to do this for me and my family. Now, you can get started with a 2-week kit at their website, and this week you can save 40% off these food kits when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. These kits include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage, and they arrive to your door with guaranteed 2-day delivery. Those who know what's coming are preparing today, and you should too. So go to preparewithredpill78.com and save 40% off right now. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today, a tweet from Q Research Notables on Twitter. He says, "I'm just going to assume these are related." And what we have here are two embedded tweets from Breaking 911. The first at 4:13 p.m. says, "NTSB spokesperson says the FBI is assisting in collecting evidence, but says this does not mean there was criminal conduct." And embedded in there, happening now, NTSB holds news conference on helicopter crash that killed Kobe Bryant and 8 others. Now, just several minutes later, it says NTSB has announced there is no black box on the doomed helicopter. Now, a lot of people were wondering yesterday what this could mean. Wouldn't the black box be part of any air vehicle that would be flying around so that then the event that something like this happens, they'd be able to review the evidence and determine exactly what caused it? Now, it had been reported yesterday that it's possible this model of helicopter should not have necessarily had a black box, that it wasn't required to. But Nimron6, I'm in Show More replies to QAnon Research Notables, the absence of the black box may be significant. FAA rules exempt the Sikorsky 76A model from having one, but the helo in question was a later 76B model, which isn't exempted, which means it should have had one. If it was flying without it or it was swiped, that is criminal. Go ahead and take a look here from an excerpt. For aircraft manufactured before August 18th, 1997, the following aircraft types need not comply with this section. And it does have the Sikorsky listed right here, 76A. But as Nimron6 says, this was a 76B. Now, very troubling information. Because if it is missing, then that's highly illegal. And since this was a chartered aircraft, you would think that they would probably have to do everything in order to make sure that they were flying under legal circumstances. Now, we need to hear from the actual charter company that loaned this helicopter out to Kobe and his friends, but right now, it does seem to be a little bit troubling. It should have had one. It wasn't there, and the NTSB has stated that. Now, we need to know, why was that black box missing? Because in the event of something like this happening, the black box would be extremely valuable, and that may be exactly why it wasn't there. Now, next, in a tweet from Inevitable ET, If you'll recall, it was reported that there was dense fog at the time that this helicopter crashed in the canyon there in LA. And he asks the question, where is the dense fog? Why does the wreckage look tiny? How did the crew get there so fast? Literally a hiking trail there. Why is the Qniversity white and not black? Where is the black box? Now, it was definitely reported that this was not Qniversity's helicopter, that this was a chartered helicopter, which would explain why it was white and not black, because the black color that Qniversity had painted his was a custom job. But he does have an excellent point here. I don't know how long after the crash this is, but there doesn't appear to be much dense fog. And also, the wreckage seems to be strewn across quite a large area, and the pieces that you see are rather tiny. Now, I myself am not familiar with many chopper crashes. I've seen a couple, but it did look like there was some more stuff laying around, some more debris. This would probably look to be the tail section of the plane, but everything else just seems to be very, very small. Very, very tragic no matter how you cut it, but definitely some good questions. Now, here in some footage obtained by Fox News, we have some additional photos and footage of the crash site. Apparently, it's spread across 500 to 600 feet. You can see here, this is another look at what we saw earlier. This footage does appear to look quite foggy, and here is a better shot of that crash site. Now, it looks pretty much like it just slammed directly into that mountain in the canyon. So that could be why there is so little debris. Plus, it looks like there was very, very hot fire. But right now, this helicopter crash does seem to have some strange questions surrounding it. Here in the flight radar footage, we can see the path of the chopper, and as it turns around, it looks like it gets a little disoriented, doesn't realize where it's going, and then that's why it ended up in the canyon there. Now, unfortunately, because there's no black box, we're really unable to determine exactly what happened. I think they're probably going to play a lot of guessing, but whether or not we'll find out exactly how it happened, that's going to be a question that will have to be answered at a later date. But again, many people very upset, many people not so upset, but either way, this is a tragedy. People died, and unfortunately, there was a loss of life. And anytime that happens, that's never a good thing. Now, next, from my friend Wyatt on Twitter, he says, why are Strzok and Page talking about squashing a press inquiry about a simple robbery of a DC mugging victim where nothing was stolen? Why would counter intel be involved or want to quash such inquiries? Also, FYSA, for your situational awareness, this wasn't just a mild FYI. Wyatt's drawing some necessary attention to this. Now, this is something that we've seen in the past, but it's a good thing to remind us all of. Peter Strzok on Wednesday, August 10th, 2016, sent a message to Lisa Page, and the subject line reads, "Forward Seth Rich," and it's from Peter Strzok. It says, just FYSA, I squashed this with, and then that is redacted. So, for your situational awareness, that's what FYSA means. Wyatt continues, do you find it odd that Strzok is in more places than Forrest Gump? How does one guy get put on every single one of the high-profile and politically sensitive cases? He is nothing but an infiltrating globalist puppet fixer. But it becomes problematic when we find out he's involved in a homicide of a low-level DNC staffer. Keep in mind that email is dated August 2016. In August of 2016, Peter Boy was very, very busy investigating Russian collusion between a candidate for president and Russia. How many agents do you think work in D.C.? Were none of them available to deal with this homicide of a nobody so Strzok can continue saving the country from the evil comrade, Donald Trump? And I just want to remind everybody that Peter Strzok also wore two hats in the federal government. He was employed by both the Federal Bureau of Investigation and he was employed by the clowns in America. And he was counter intel. Peter Strzok put a lot of hats on in a lot of different areas, and based upon his history, you have to begin to ask, why was Peter Strzok involved in so many different things and so many very sensitive things that are so relevant to everything that's going on? Looks to me like Peter Strzok was the point man for both of these agencies, and more importantly, the clowns in America. They had him working all of these things to make sure that everything happened exactly the way they wanted. With the squashing of this one story about a very low-level employee at the DNC, it was just the start of a massive cover-up. And with the death of this young man, many, many secrets died with him. Now, next, with that terrible situation in China, we had a lot of reporting going on, people wondering about the genesis of that terrible virus, where it came from, how it was released. There were definitely reports that there was some type of a research lab in the area where it initiated in Wuhan, China. And there was some speculation about the fact that a company called Pkwy in the UK had a patent on a version of the coronavirus. Well, right here, this account, Real Yoda at Awake Yoda, says that there are more than one strain of the coronavirus, and the current Wuhan strain is not the same strain that is patented by the Pkwy company and the Gates Foundation. And he suggests that a rush to spread a narrative only hurts the movement. I have to agree on that, and that's why I phrased my coverage of it very carefully, saying that it would be very easy to determine exactly where this virus came from if it is the same strain. If it isn't, that's great, and I'm glad to know it, but it is not outside the realm of possibility for people to ask. However, just remember, guys, if you're going to be talking about things like this, be very careful to rush to judgment. Phrase things in the form of a question so that it can be something that people research and not something that people go and report themselves without having the evidence to do so. All right, and next, it looks like we were right all along, and a top British spy is reporting that there's a very strong possibility that the anti-Trump dossier was completely fabricated. We've been talking about this for a very long time. We know that the information contained in the dossier was all fiction, and that the FBI propped up Christopher Steele and his salacious claims, despite knowing that there was some question about his validity or the veracity of his information and his subsources, and that even subsources themselves came forward to state that they never thought that Christopher Steele would put this information into an official document like this. And again, there's also still some question as to whether or not Christopher Steele himself is even the author of this information in the dossier. Well, there is a former MI6 officer. His name is Rupert Allison. He's also a former member of Parliament, and he uses a pen name, Nigel West. Well, he created a forensic analysis of the work that was purportedly done by Steele, and he's made some stunning allegations about the information contained therein. He says there is a strong possibility that all Steele's material has been fabricated. He wrote this in an article for the British newspaper, the Sunday Times. Now, he was commissioned by a Republican law firm after the dossier was released to create a series of reports about the information contained therein, which, of course, included the infamous tape, which was supposedly made with Russians and President Trump. Now, of course, we know his report is now coming out in the wake of the Justice Department Inspector General's report, that'd be Michael Horowitz, who condemned Christopher Steele and the FBI for its reliance on this dossier, for receiving the warrants to wiretap Carter Page and others. And the FBI has been heavily criticized by President Trump, people in his sphere, his allies, for using this information to kind of pull a fast one over the Fisk court's eyes. Now, of course, don't forget that it was funded by none other than Hillary Clinton and the opposition research firm Fusion GPS, and Perkins Coie had a hand in determining its foundation as well. Don't forget that the Horowitz report from December faulted the Justice Department for the 17 significant errors and omissions, with the FBI being included in that as well. Now, Allison specifically took issue with Steele's sourcing, writing that from a professional intelligence perspective, the dossier as a whole is profoundly troubling and cannot be taken at face value. Source E is credited with access to Ritz-Carlton staff, knowledge of Russian government involvement with WL, and the abuse of Russian diplomatic facilities in the United States. Well, this appears to be an extraordinarily wide area of expertise, Allison wrote, adding the apparent lapse bear the hallmarks of invention. So here we have it from someone who ought to know what they're talking about. The Christopher Steele document, the dossier, all of those reports contained therein is in fact fiction. Once again, something that you, I, and many other Anons have been aware of for a very, very long time. So, Christopher Steele, what is going to happen to you now? I really do hope that the government is going to file some charges against him, and that maybe they can find something illegal that he's done, because he's had a major role to play in this illegal action to remove the president. And with all that's been done to destroy the president, his character, the people in his orbit, I really do believe that it's time that somebody starts paying the piper. All right, next we have a very interesting story from 8kun. Apparently, the owner of qmap.pub received a DMCA takedown order for what was listed as a family photograph. It was taken and posted to a public person's Instagram profile several years ago. The initials of that person are RC. We're not going to talk about their actual name because that person is the only one who has ever given a takedown request to one of my videos, and I'm certainly not trying to abuse anyone. But I just wanted to point out that the lawyer for this individual, his name is Andrew S. Bretler, and Andrew works for Lavely and Singer. Now, that same law firm, that lawyer right there, is also someone who represents Brian Singer, also represents Brett Ratner, also represents CAA. Now, they also represent Jussie Smollett, and it is worth noting that Alyssa Milano's husband is a very high-up bigwig at CAA. I'm sure you guys remember CAA. Let's take a look at a photograph of their headquarters from An Eye in the Sky. All right, here we have an aerial view of CAA headquarters. Very striking symbolism here. We've got two triangles, or pyramids as they were, and then we've got the eye in the pyramid right there. So what does that tell you about them? Now, all of these names should be very familiar to you because they all have a certain thing in common. So just look into those names and you can see what type of company this is right here. But I thought it was very interesting. This is the direction that censorship is going, and just wanted to tell everybody to be on their guard in case you have shared any images from this particular individual's Instagram account. You might be able to find the picture online if you haven't seen it yet. I know it should be still up on several of the aggregators of these posts, but it has now been removed from qmap.pub. Now, I wanted to draw everyone's attention to my friend Douglas Belmore, Professor Doug Belmore. He's changed his Twitter handle. It's now at theqniversity.com, and he has finally created his own YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to include the link to that YouTube channel in the pinned comment with the show notes. I highly suggest everyone go and subscribe to Doug, show him some love. We need to help him out. Because of his courage, he lost his position at a university in Arizona. He is no longer able to teach because no one will hire him. Doug is one of the most intelligent, kindest people I have ever met, and he deserves the support of this entire movement. So please do go subscribe to Professor Doug Belmore's YouTube channel, Qniversity. Now, it was recently reported that Ilhan Omar was under investigation, possible investigation, over the reports that she had married her brother in an effort to defraud the immigration and naturalization system here in the United States. Well, now a second report has been revealed, showing that federal law enforcement officials are actually reviewing the allegations of criminal activity by Representative Omar. Now, of course, a lot of people get hung up on the fact that she married her brother, but I don't think that it's about anything weird. I think it was really just about defrauding the system and helping him get his citizenship. Now, the Blaze first reported that the New York Post had said that the FBI was investigating these allegations. Well, now it has come out again that this is in fact happening, and that ICE's involvement in the investigation pertained to the questions about Representative Omar's 2009 marriage, which allegedly includes 8 instances of perjury, immigration fraud, marriage fraud, and up to 8 years of state and federal tax fraud, as well as 2 years of federal student loan fraud and even bigamy. So this is going to be a very big story in the near future. It is going to continue to get larger because I believe it's gotten to the point where people are not going to be able to ignore it anymore. And now that it's in the hands of the feds, I do think that Representative Omar has some major problems because she is looking at not only significant prison time, but also potentially revocation of her citizenship and deportation for her, her brother, and anybody else who profited from this illegal scam. Now, yesterday, Pam Bondi, part of the president's defense team, really gave an incredible segment in the Senate regarding the actual crimes of the Bidens, Hunter, and the people surrounding them, why this was such a big deal. She laid out an excellent case. She goes back to many different articles and news pieces over the last several years, detailing why everyone thought it was a big deal at the time, and showing the kind of contradictory nature and the hypocritical nature of the mainstream media right now. One thing that was extremely damaging was the reaction of Chris Hines, the stepson of John Kerry. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this little segment, and we can hear what Chris Hines had to say about the appointment of Hunter to the Burisma board.
The article stated, "The move raises questions about a potential conflict of interest for Joe Biden." Now, even Chris Hines, Hunter Biden's own business partner, had grave concerns. He thought that working with Burisma was unacceptable. This is Chris Hines. He was worried about the corruption, the geopolitical risk, and how bad it would look. So he wisely distances himself from Hunter Biden and Devon Archer's appointments to Burisma. He didn't simply call his stepfather, Secretary of State, and say, "I have a problem with this." He didn't tell his friends, "Hey guys, I'm not getting on the board. I want nothing to do with this." He went so far as to send an email to senior State Department officials about this issue. This is Chris Hines. He wrote, "Apparently, Devon and Hunter have joined the board of Burisma, and a press release went out today. I can't speak to why they decided to, but there is no investment by our firm in their company." What did Hunter Biden do? He stayed on the board. What did Chris Hines do? He subsequently stopped doing business with his college roommate, Devon Archer, and his friend, Hunter Biden.
So right there, Pam Bondi is laying out the severity of the choice that Hunter and Archer made in becoming board members there at Burisma. She also stated that Burisma was well known for being an extremely corrupt company, was under the watchful eye of the United States Department of Justice, and also the State Department for all of the dirty dealings that they were doing, the way that they were basically defrauding people of money, the people of Ukraine, and how the Bidens decided to get involved with them despite that. So if it was a major issue for the mainstream media, even for the former administration way back then, why is it now being portrayed as if it is some type of theory with no base or statement in fact? I think that answer is pretty obvious because now this has everything to do with removing the president from office and nothing to do with the dispensation of actual justice when we look at crimes committed by people such as the Bidens and others. I look forward to the information coming out from today's testimony and the defense motions that are being put forward in the Senate trial, because apparently Jay Sekulow today is talking about Crossfire Hurricane. So that should make for some very interesting video tomorrow. And finally, just another update on what's taking place in France. Apparently things have descended to the point where firemen are fighting with the police. And Orwell and Good on Twitter asks the question, what happens when you call the emergency number? Sorry, all our emergency services are otherwise indisposed. But this really shows you how bad things have gotten and how much they have devolved there on the ground in France. You've basically got the entire country against the police, who are standing only for the government, for Macron, and against the people who want him removed. So again, something you're not going to see on the mainstream media, but thank you very much to Orwell and Good for getting this video footage and delivering it to us on Twitter. All right, guys, that is all that I have for you today. Just once more, I want to ask everyone to go follow Doug Belmore on Twitter, and please go subscribe to his channel on YouTube. The first video is out, and it is incredible. I do know that you guys are going to love it, and I think you're going to want to hear what Doug has to say in the future. Also, I think this is going to be an excellent tool that we can use with people that need to be woken up. I think that Doug is going to be creating some excellent content. Also want to make sure everyone remembers the fact that we have the contest coming up. We just broke 189,000 subscribers, and when we get to 200,000, I'm going to be choosing 2 winners. Each will receive a $100 gift card. Remember, you can enter this contest in a couple of different ways. What you need to do is like the videos, make sure that you comment so you're part of the conversation, make sure that you're sharing so more people see them, and remember to make sure that you are subscribed with the notification bell turned on, because I will say the names of the winner in a video here on this channel. I'll pick a winner from the video with the most number of likes, and I will pick a winner from the video with the most number of views. So 2 chances to win, and we should be coming up on that subscriber mark very, very soon. Thank you everyone for your help in supporting this channel and helping to get the word out. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. Just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to support this channel. If you'd like to see some ways that you can support the channel, you can always check the show notes in the pinned comment of this video below. Whether you like, whether you share, whether you make sure that your notifications are on, any way that you support this channel means so much to me. I could not be doing this without you, and I could not do it without your help. Without people like you, this channel would not exist, so thank you so much to everyone for all of their many means of support. Don't forget to check out the merchandise store that is also in the pinned comment, and I will see you guys next time.